Hello and welcome to Train Signal. You are watching the Linux Shell environment. Do you remember the days before GUIs hit the scene? All we had was a DOS prompt and a blinking cursor. Pretty intimidating for those early users. But when Windows came along, it forever changed how most users would interact with their systems. The X Windows system and the myriad of desktop managers moved Linux from the server room to many desktops. In truth, many of the commands we use at the command line can be done from within a GUI environment, but by now you should be growing more comfortable with the Linux command line and understanding that as an administrator, it's something that you'll absolutely need to master. In our GNU and Unix commands lesson, we took a first look at the Linux shell environment. And while there are many different shells, Bash is the one that you'll need to focus on for the Linux Plus certification exam. So in this lesson, we'll delve a little deeper, taking a look at environment variables and how they're used to configure the shell environment. We'll also review the configuration files that control the shell and how you can modify them to make permanent changes to your system. And this lesson will conclude with a look at aliases, another pretty cool tool that can help make navigating the command line just a little easier. Let's start off with environment variables on the next slide. As we've learned before, when you start a Bash shell, it uses a collection of startup files to help create an environment. These are called environment variables. Environment variables are always uppercase and in the shell environment preceded by a $sign. Below is a list of common environment variables, and you'll want to commit these to memory. The first is user or username, which holds the current username. Shell holds the path to the current command shell, in our case Bash. PWD holds the present working directory. Hostname holds the system hostname. Path will hold a list of directories to be searched when running commands from the shell prompt. And home holds the path to the current user's home directory. Continuing with our list of common environment variables, next we have mail, which holds the path to the current user's mail spool, or in this case var spool mail followed by username. LANG holds the language, which is specified as a locale. LD underscore library underscore path indicates where library files can be found. PS1 holds the default prompt. And with this variable, \u will indicate the username, \h will indicate the host name, and \W will indicate the current working directory. Next we have NNTP server, which specifies the name of news server systems. Then we have term, which holds the name of the terminal type, followed by display, which specifies the X display, usually indicated by :0 followed by another 0, if you have one display. And finally we have editor, which specifies the default text editor. On the next slide, we'll talk about how to display and set environment variables. Now that we know some of the most common environment variables, curious minds probably want to know how to manipulate these settings. If you recall from our GNU and Unix commands lesson, you can display the current variables two ways. First by typing env at the command line, but this list could get long, so if you want to know the value of a specific variable, you can use the echo command, or echo space $sign followed by the variable name. Let's open up a terminal window and take a look at some of our test system's environment variables. Let's go to Applications. Here we can see the last 10 messages that were in our log file. Now with just those two examples, you should have a sense of just how powerful aliases really are. I anticipate you'll have a ball trying this one out. But for now, let's go back to the presentation. What we just covered is the manual process, but you can make these changes permanent in the Bash startup scripts we just discussed previously. And that concludes our lesson on the Linux shell environment. Let's review what we've learned on the next slide. With another lesson complete, we are moving ever closer to mastering the Linux command line. As with everything we've learned, practice makes perfect. As you go forward, testing and changing your config files, it's always a good idea to make a backup just in case something goes wrong and you need to revert back to the original. To recap, in this lesson we covered environment variables, including some common variables and how to set and change them. We then talked about how to modify the configuration files that control environment variables. And we wrapped up with a review of aliases, the shortcuts that can help shorten the commands you type at the command line. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.